Be ready, 5 seconds. I rise today on behalf of my party to note some very grave concerns regarding this post office bill. I had hoped to welcome this bill because of many reasons. I had repeatedly flagged the need to revise and repeal the Indian Post Office Act. But over the past decade, we have often seen this government, in the guise of updating colonial era laws, bringing in legislation that is equally unreasonable and that more often than not encroaches upon the fundamental rights of Indians. Sadly, so it is with this bill. Even as it seeks to revise a colonial bill, this bill retains its colonial provisions. As someone who has great respect for the minister, I am disappointed to see him putting this before the House. Let me first remind the House that there is no debate happening in a vacuum. There is always a context. Around a month or so ago, several members of the opposition, including myself, received a threat notice from Apple warning us of the fact that attackers were trying to infiltrate our phones, by doing which they could extract data and even hack our phones and cameras. Was it really so long ago that the threat of Pegasus loomed large on us all, tracking our every move? These are the realities we must bear in our minds as we begin debating this bill, which strikes at the heart of our constitutional values, our fundamental rights, compelling every ordinary Indian to live at the mercy of our state's mistrust of its own citizens. On the one hand, the government says that it wishes to widen the range of services it renders so that it becomes more useful to the Indian populace. We heard the examples of my friend the minister. I will come back to this issue because I do not think that the bill does this at all. On the other hand, the government through this bill grants itself powers to infringe upon the citizens' rights to freedom of speech and expression as guaranteed under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution and our right to privacy, which the Supreme Court recognized as being a subset of the right to life and liberty in Article 21. The government assumes these powers through Clause 9 of the bill. I would urge all of our friends to look on their screens at clauses 9 and 10 of the bill. This entitles any officer to cause any item in the post office to be opened or detained in the interest of security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states. Now, these are vague grounds and can be construed to cover anything that our government does not like. Indeed, the government does not only seek Indians by rummaging through their private shipments. Clause 9 makes clear that they may also direct India Post to dispose of, which is to say, to destroy or trash any item, any personal article that has fallen foul of their definition of what constitutes a threat to India's interest. Further, our government again may empower any officer of the post office to confiscate any item. Now, there is a lot to dissect in this one section alone, starting from the fact that the Supreme Court, in the judgment of People's Union for Civil Liberties versus the Union of India, opined that a just and fair procedure must exist to regulate the power of interception because, in its absence, it is not possible to safeguard the rights of citizens. To fill this gap, the Supreme Court laid down several safeguards, such as establishing the necessity for interception,